Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Lifetime Value. My name is Ritik. Today, I have a very special guest, Jorge, who I've known since my time in DiDi. Jorge has about 10 years of experience in marketing with various institutions, all the way from Volaris, which is a Mexican airline, to DiDi, the ride-hailing giant, to Justo, which is another lending company in Mexico. He's currently the director of Bizdev at Ik Asistencia, a company focused on helping individuals with services such as medical, car, and home assistance. Today, Jorge shares his experience in the marketing industry, the learnings he's made through his career, the importance of a good marketing team in a startup, and how Ike is helping Mexicans during the pandemic. So without further ado, please help me welcome Jorge.
Hi, Ritik. How are you? And thanks for the invite to be part of Lifetime Value.
Thank you so much for taking time out, Jorge. I'm very excited to speak with you today because I kind of feel that a lot of startups tend to focus a lot on marketing to get the growth numbers that they want. And I would love to have your 2 cents and your advice on how startups can optimize their marketing and what makes a good marketing team. So why don't you start us off and introduce yourself to the listeners?
Oh, great. Perfect. Let me introduce and then get ready to rumble.
Yeah.
Well, it's a little bit funny here. I just want to tell you how my career or my path into marketing started. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you know it, but initially I started studying industrial engineering. Mm-hmm. But on a summer, I started working at Starbucks, and that's where I got attracted into marketing. The Starbucks moved me and made me love marketing. Why? Because there was that moment, you were as a worker or as a barista in Starbucks, you need to change the merch and the food from rack to rack, depending on the time, launching new coffee flavors, doing different cups, depending on the season, Christmas cups, Christmas blend coffee, or summer, Halloween, depending on the season. So it was all around marketing, and that's where I fell in love with it. Why? Because you see all the momentums you need to change up or to get related into customers and to try to sell more. People normally says that marketing is all about sales. But here I will tell you yes and no. Why? Because yes, it's all about sales, but most important is to know about what your customer wants. So that's something that Starbucks does really great. So that's where I decided to move into marketing and where part of my career started. Then, and just to make it as a brief summary here in my career, after being in Starbucks, then I moved and I started working in a marketing agency, small marketing agency, move into more digital marketing. I started up learning about Google ads, Facebook ads. Why? Because as you know, I finished my career 10 years ago. So digital marketing wasn't the boom that is right now. It started to be the first steps of digital marketing. So my career was tons of traditional marketing. Okay. So I did a diploma in digital marketing to understand a little bit more about conversions, about interactions, and how to do the different channels. So after being in this agency, and this is a small agency I moved into Volaris. I think where in Volaris is where my career took this ramp up. Why? Because I don't know if you know, Volaris here in Mexico is the biggest airline. It's a low-cost airline, but in terms of passengers per day and per year is the biggest one, more bigger than Aeromexico. Volaris domains here in Mexico, the air traffic in Mexico, and it moves a little bit into Central America, and it all has presence in North America and the US. So here in Volaris, I was in charge of the content marketing area and the social media. So here I was moving on and checking out all the content, what we're doing here in content, or how to create organic content to gain more users, and those users translate them into sales. I was also in charge of our social customer service. It was a pretty important area. Why? Because we have tons of interactions with our users. Whether if it was a negative interaction or a positive interaction, it was a pretty amazing be in touch. No, and it was a main point that can help us out succeed, turn negative situations into positive, and then into translate it into sales.
Yeah.
So during my time in Volaris, I managed our campaigns or our launching campaigns in Central America. During this time, I was traveling around a lot to Costa Rica, Guatemala, El Salvador, and also Nicaragua. We were launching the new routes, so I was doing tons of campaigns online and offline to try to acquire users. No, it's you just mentioned it before when you introduced me. Tons of startups look out marketing just to acquire users, and yes, it's a truth. No, I was doing that for online and offline campaigns. No, so moving out into Volaris, then I received an offer to join DiDi. This ride-hailing monster. No, I was the first employee, Mexican employee, or not only Mexican employee, but I was the first employee outside of China to join DiDi. No, because Mexico was the first country outside of China, and I was the first employee. I remember when I joined DiDi January the 3rd. And when I entered the office, I think there was 10 to 12 Chinese guys, and they were just clapping. No, hey, welcome. Like, hey, what is this? No one has ever come to me find a place. These Chinese guys, hey, welcome. So yes, they were pretty happy to have me there because they were telling me, hey, this is the first step now of what DiDi has done for today. So I joined DiDi as a marketing manager. But as you know, in a startup, and especially a startup when it's opening and with starting operations, you just don't do what you're there to do. No, for example, I was hired to do marketing manager, but I was helping out customer service, but also ops, all the different areas. No, we were the first batch of employees. We were about 15 employees, and around all these 15 employees, we took the decision where to start, what was our accurate date. We also helped the engineering team to make the route, to track routes and to see how the map is going or working here in Mexico. So it was a pretty amazing time during these 3 to 4 first months in DiDi, because it was not about marketing. It was all about DiDi by itself. Try to do different things, try to scale it up. Here in Mexico, Uber, at that time, Uber had like the 80% of the market share. So it was pretty complicated to join the market. Well, Uber was the biggest competitor here. So it was quite a ride in DiDi. Launched that part. I helped launch 4 main cities. The first one was Toluca, then moved into Monterrey and Guadalajara. And then the last one that I helped launch was Mexico City. While launching Mexico City, I moved into to another area that was partnerships. I was like the head of partnerships, and here the main idea of partnerships was to help acquire new users by lowering its costs, by lowering the cost of acquisition. Why? As a startup, and especially ride-hailing, our cost of acquisition was really high, was really expensive. Why? Because we were competing with Uber, Cabify, all other ride-hailing companies, also the last mile companies or startups that started launching. And besides that, Facebook and Google, they categorize us as travel companies. So we were competing versus airlines and versus OTAs like Spia, Booking, all that. So imagine the acquisition cost was pretty high. So partnerships area took a very important point here, because we managed to find these new relationships with big companies that have tons of users and help us out doing a joint venture or a great relationship where we gave them a coupon, a discount to their users so we can acquire. So that way we lower our acquisition costs. Then after my time at DiDi, I moved into the FinTech market, a pretty amazing FinTech market that I love. Mexico is about to lead this boom. So I joined Credit Justo in a special and ambitious project that we had there that was like a credit card for businesses. I don't know if you know about Credit Justo. Here in Mexico is one of the first or the second player into the lending companies.
Correct.
As also they're really big in terms of business companies. business lending, and we were planning to do a new business. No, this business was a credit card for businesses as a marketing manager also, and then move it up into the head of alliances for all Credit Justo. So then COVID came, no, and shit happens. But recently I joined Iké Asistencia 3 months ago, as the Bizdev and director here for a new project that we're about to launch. Now it's a B2C product that we're working on to hopefully launch very soon. So
perfect.
That's a little bit of me, Ritik.
That was a very detailed and thorough explanation. No, I loved it. No, for sure. Before we get to the next question, I remember one thing you were saying while we were messaging each other, that commonly people refer to such experienced and exciting people as a crack here. Tell me what that means in the Mexican context.
Okay, well, I'm going to try to translate this Mexican slang into English so they can find out. Well, a crack here for me, or in the market, seems like to be that guy that has been pushing, launching, and has been in everything, But trying to explain it all, it's a little bit complicated.
it's like, every startup is like, we want the A players. That's how I understand it. It's like the A player, And,
yes, that's right. I think that's the easiest way, the A player.
So I want to get a bit deeper into your experience, especially with this amazing amount of and diverse experience that you have in marketing. Why don't you explain in terms as simple as possible, what does the marketing team really do for a startup, using your different experiences, and why is, like you alluded to, like the acquisition cost for a startup, why is it so important, and how does the marketing team help optimize it? Like, you were talking about Google, Facebook,
right?
How does that work?
Okay, I'm gonna try not to deep dive a lot into this because it will take us a lot. But just to try to resume it here, the part of why the marketing teams really do for a company. I think a marketing team plays a vital role in any corporation, even it's a business or it's a big entrepreneurial firm or a company, startup, whatever. Why it plays a vital role? Because they help to promote the business and the mission of an organization. They serve a marketing team. It serves as the face of your company. Why? Because they coordinate and produce all the materials that represent your own business. The marketing department also, they help you out to prospect customers, investors, or the community by itself, while creating, I think, this image, an overarching image that could represent the company, and just and dependence on the business needs, a marketing team will help you out to define and manage your brand. That's tons of branding, that it's pretty important. So many companies just forgot about branding, and for me, branding, it's the first step about a marketing plan.
Interesting.
Then it will help you out to conduct digital campaigns. Digital campaigns comes into acquisition. Then they will help you out to produce promotional materials. This something happens to be a little bit more offline. And by I mentioned these because living in Mexico, you have to have offline campaigns, not only digital. Why? Because we are really used to have offline campaigns. It's
interesting.
We need to have a 360 campaign, not only digital. Then they help you out to create content, providing the SEO for your website, for example, to this organic content so that can gain.
What is SEO?
SEO is a search engine optimization.
Okay.
It talks a lot about this organic content that will help you out position your website out in Google, for example. For example, also a marketing team will help you out monitoring and manage social media. It's something really important. Right now, social media conducts everything. And something I think it's pretty special, and I put it also as at the same point as branding, is this one, the social customer service. For me, social customer service is a great point of importance for a marketing strategy, or that a marketing team needs to have. Why? Because right now, marketing is not about your product, it's about your customer. So you need to be facing it off. You need to hear your customer. You need to solve their problems. You need to hear what they want. So having a great social customer service will help you out or provide you to scale up your sales, to lower up your customer, your CAC, all those things. I think the social customer service is pretty important now on. And something just to point out here, I love this phrase that's, I don't know if you heard about or read about him, Simon Sinek.
Okay. Yeah.
Something, he has a great book that says its name Start With Why. Something that I want to point out here about Simon Sinek is that people don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. So it's this point, it's pretty important to point it out that a marketing need to have. And then moving up into the other question, just not to take so long, into the customer acquisition.
Yeah.
Why it's so important, or how, or why right now startups have been talking about it? Well, I think customer acquisition right now is it's a business metric that has really been gaining a lot of popularity.
Yep.
This cost is associated with actually convincing a customer to buy a product or service. It's as simple as that. Go a little bit back, like 20 years ago, when digital marketing wasn't just in papers.
Yeah.
Meeting a cost of acquisition was pretty different. Why? Because the 90% of your campaigns were offline. So measuring an offline campaign was much difficult than it was today measuring a digital campaign. So it's pretty important that all the marketers or the marketing area has to have in common. Think on conversion. Convert. But try always to lower your acquisition costs. As I mentioned before, as an example, at DiDi, our cost of acquisitions were pretty expensive because it's not only because we compete versus ride-hailing companies. You compete versus tons of companies, and the competition depends on how Google or Facebook target you. So it's pretty important to have the CAC, as it's
correct
in mind.
Yep. Great points. So I wanted to kind of extract a bit more from you as well. You've had so much experience. To a new founder, just starting their marketing strategy or marketing campaign, what are 3 quick but very important tips you would give?
I think, one would be hear your customers, understand them.
Yep.
They probably have the answer to their own need, but probably the users do not have the tools or time to solve it. So pay attention to them. Customers are the key metric in everything.
Yep.
And for this, I will point out the focus on an excellent customer service. Then the second point, or the tip I will give, is be passionate about it.
Okay.
Trust in the reason why you're doing it, not just because it's business by itself. There's always that reason why you're doing this, so trust in it. There's a reason why you're pushing into it, And number 3, I think it's, and most important that I see sometimes that some startup lack of it, is to try to find an added value to your product. Outside, there's tons of competition, but there's always a space for others, So here you need to find something that can make you out different from others. Find a way to communicate it, find a way to spread it, push out into this added value. So it's something pretty important you need to push out into.
Absolutely. Great points. And before we move on to the next section, I'm very fascinated by the new company that you're working at, Iké Asistencia, because I haven't really seen these sort of aggregated products for, your assistance for your car, personal coaching, medical assistance, all of that bundled into one company or one offering before. So can you tell us more about what you're doing there and how the company is able to offer so many different services, one subscription plan or one, and how is it providing assistance during the pandemic?
Great, sure. Yes, first I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about Ik Asistencia. It happened to me the same. When I get here to join Ik Asistencia, it was okay, but what is Ik Asistencia,
Yeah.
At the end, what's Iké? Iké, it's the biggest player here in Latin America. We have presence, or we have a market in Mexico, Brazil, Argentina, and Colombia.
Wow.
And what we do here, our main business is a B2B2C, no, and doing it as business to business to customers. What we do, we're the biggest player here in Latin America that provides these assistance services, no? It all started 30 years ago with this car assistances, and we happen to do with these car manufacturers. And one example is General Motors, and they have this Asistencia en el Camino, no? It's these travel assistance services. When you buy your car, you will be provided a certain assistance. So for example, a flat tire or a toll, you need to be told to a place, or you have an accident. All these assistances, we provided them. So right now, Iké has been, as I mentioned, 30 years in the market, providing different types of assistances. We have more than 70 different assistances, and it could be the ones I mentioned, but we have also house assistance. We have this plumber, this maintenance guy that can help you out to put a nail in your wall, for example. All those special things. Or do you need a cleanup guy that can help you out? Okay, you just find it up. No, or then moving on into medical assistance. No, at this point, medical assistance took a boom during this pandemic. Why? Because we provided this assistance, but to different customers only. And since the pandemic started, we moved into this medical assistance, providing personal coach, online personal coach, online psychologists, online therapists, online doctors that can help you out to see how you're doing. No, instead of going to a doctor or to any place, COVID was a little bit more dangerous to go out. So we move out into online. So that's something we've been providing, we've been helping out. And right now, as I mentioned, our main business is B2B2C. So we depend a lot on the other businesses. So we're aiming, or we're looking out for more businesses so they can offer our services. No, and for example, I can mention some of them. We have plenty of banks here in Mexico that can give you, depending on the card you have, they can help you out. They will provide our services, but name as the card you have. No, for example, we have with Citibanamex, we have Libra Plus. Well, we have lots of them. We have also with car manufacturers. We've been doing something with new airlines. For example, in Colombia, we have with Avianca, this travel assistance for you to, when you buy your ticket, you have a travel assistance. And we've been moving into different industries, no? But now on, we want to become massive. We want to have this point, we want to be direct to customers, no? So this is my main reason why I'm here. As you mentioned, yes, I'm the Bizdev, the director, and we are developing this new project that it would be a B2C product, no? Direct to consumers. We want to do this platform, that open this platform to new users, and not only users that have a credit card. For example, this is a thing that happens a lot, no? Because all these services, these assistance services, are mainly focused for people that can acquire a car or that can have a credit card. So in the mean, we're missing out tons of people that do not have access to these things, no? And it's something similar as FinTech is doing in Mexico. We try to do these ones. There are tons of people here in Mexico that do not have access to a credit card. So if you don't have a credit card, you cannot have an insurance, or you cannot have a credit card by itself. No, pay it. And as a result, you're not able to have these assistance services. So what we're planning or aiming to is when we launch this B2C project, we want to target or tackle all these users also. Why? Because it's very important for them to have these assistance services, no? So it's our mission is where we want to be. Right now, we don't have a launch date. We're just working on it. But for sure, or I can assure you, Ritik, that we have these, as I mentioned before, that it's pretty important to have this added value. No, we're going to be focusing a lot to have this added value. And right now we have a big competitive advantage is that we have all these providers, service providers. They've been working a lot with us along 30 years. So we know which one is the best one that could provide this service. So for sure, wait for it. When we launch, we're going to be the one of the first ones to know when we're out in the market.
Excellent. That was again a very interesting explanation, and thank you again for explaining that. I'm really fascinated by this, and I really look forward to seeing how the company evolves. Now, moving on to the next section called Payback Period, where the guest asks the host a question. So what question do you have for me today, Jorge?
Great. That's going to be great because it's been tons of talking about Jorge. Now it's deep time. Okay, well, I have a good one. Being you a guy that moves around in FinTech since I met you,
Yeah.
How you see the FinTech market in Mexico versus India or Singapore?
Very good question. So I'm going to talk about the differences between Mexico and Singapore. I'm not that familiar with the Indian market, but maybe I can touch on it later. So I feel that the needs of Mexican customers are vastly different from the needs of the Singapore customers. Most of Singaporeans, if not all of them, are already banked. So all of the neobanks or the explosion of all these guys who are providing an alternative to banking in Mexico is not really seen in Singapore. Banks within Singapore are sure they're public, but then mostly they're government development banks. It's very different in Mexico where people don't like the banks. A lot of the times due to the various economic crises, people have lost trust in the banks, and there's that massive sort of hypothesis that every Mexican has a smartphone, but a lot of them don't have a bank account. So that using that example, the needs are very different. Good example would also be Cree Justo and Confio. You don't really need that kind of lending in Singapore because our interest rates are always super low. There is that crowdfunding peer-to-peer lending where if, let's say, I'm looking for a separate source of revenue, I can invest in the crowdfunding platform and then make interest by lending to a business. But there's no need for, unsecured lending or the need for to beat the banking or to provide an alternative to banking, because most people in Singapore can get a loan from a bank without too much problems. I would say my sort of basic knowledge of how FinTech is in India is a lot more aligned with Mexico in that sense, because again, a lot of people or most people have a smartphone, but a lot of people don't have basic necessities like a bank account. So that is something that is being tackled the same way I would say that Mexico is doing. It's a very good question. Yeah.
Yeah, I share the same with you here, Ritik. I think it's a great point to talk about it.
Yeah.
Here in Mexico, that could be probably it's not the big or the fanciest way to tell it, but it's a great competitive advantage that we have here in Mexico. That not all the guys, all the people is in bank or they do not love banks. Yeah. But I think about these, what you mentioned, it comes a problem. Here, not all the fintechs here in Mexico, for example, they put this added value. They're just going out in the market because they want to have those guys that are not in the bank,
Correct.
But they do not put this added value. They don't make something different. And I can name you around 10 or 15 players outside in the market that are the same. They're a digital card or a digital wallet that they can do payments, you receive money and do transactions.
Correct.
But there is no special offering. I think fintechs in Mexico need to give this extra mile. Great to hear your opinion about the fintech market in Mexico.
Very, very good point as well. Now, before we wrap up, Jorge, is there any last minute advice you want to give to people who are thinking about a career in marketing, people who might be, interested in marketing? What can they maybe read up on, or who can they follow, or any advice you'd like to give?
Well, I think the best advice I can give them is that always be positive here, not only for marketing guys, but for all the guys outside. Always be positive. Change is in the next window.
Yep.
And a great example is marketing. Marketing has been changing a lot. My career by itself, it was about traditional marketing, and right now it's all about digital marketing. But I think as marketing has been changing a lot, you need to be also open to learn these these probably old marketing strategies and try to make it new. No, traditional marketing is always important because it gives you all the bases you need. No, and something else I think they could be as an advice, it's always focus on conversion. Always try to do a campaign, focus on conversion, but hear your customers, not just to do because I think it will convert. No, try to make a love situation with your customer and then deliver conversion. And also something that it's really important here, vanity metrics do not help us. No, and vanity metrics, I'm telling, likes, shares, all those influencer marketing, yes, they probably give you awareness, but the conversion rate of an influencer, it's lower than a 1%. No, vanity metrics, they do not help a lot. No, if you want to do awareness, okay, probably awareness is okay, but at the end, if you do not convert and it's only awareness, what's the need for your business? Do you run a business only to do awareness? That's a big question. No,
very good point.
If I do this, okay, let's do all the influencers. No, I do, or I run a business to try to convert, to make money. No? Yeah. So I think something really important that people or young guys that are studying marketing or they're starting to do digital campaigns, please stop looking at vanity metrics. A like won't even give you $1.
Absolutely. Very, very good points. And especially that vanity metrics. That is something that really annoys me to no end. And it ends up being what a lot of founders think is the reason why their business is going to be super successful when it's not.
No, it's not. Imagine I just do a post. Oh, okay, you have 1 million followers. Okay.
Yeah.
How many people of those 1 million followers have converted to you? 1, 2, 3? Yeah. Not even that. If you tell me a 10%, it's an amazing number. It's a great number. Probably I would tell you it's a lie. No, because vanity metrics did not give you to it.
Yeah, very true. Well, Jorge, thank you so much for your time today. And would you like to share your contact information with our listeners?
Yeah, sure. I think, yes, probably, well, the easiest way that they can find me out is LinkedIn.
Okay.
I love LinkedIn. I love to be on that social network.
Perfect.
Yes, open to new contacts. No, and thanks a lot, Ritik, for your time also.
Thank you so much for being there. Eres un gran crack, obviamente. I can't wait to speak. Can't wait to speak with you again. And thank you so much again for your time today.
No, thanks a lot, Ritik. See you later, bro.
And this was Lifetime Value.